Bible resources can be expensive, and in this video I want to share with you some of my favorite tips on how I purchase them inexpensively. Also share with you some best tips on how to use them. So if at any time in this video you feel you're getting value, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. One of the most utilized resources is a study Bible. And depending on what type of study Bible you go with, you can spend anywhere from $50 to over $100. And certainly that would be the case on one like this. But those who really know me know that I'm not going to spend that amount of money on it. So what I'd like to do is show you why these are so important, why people love them, and also some of my tips on how to get them a lot less expensive. So we'll be taking a look here at the HCSB Study Bible, and at the time of purchase, this was $69.99, and I believe I paid $18 for it. So let's take a look at the inside of the Study Bible and see why people enjoy this resource, and then we'll take a look at ways to find it at an inexpensive cost. So let's quickly take a look inside of the Study Bible, and we'll notice that there is a brief description of the book, some of the key themes, the circumstances of why it was written. And then the other thing is, as we are reading our Bible and maybe we need a little bit of help in what the author is intending to say, there's going to be notes at the bottom of the Bible that's going to help us out with that. Now, one thing we do want to understand, I do want to caution us, is these notes are not inspired words. Okay, this is the author's interpretation of what the pastors are saying. However, they are extremely helpful. The other thing you'll notice is there's pictures in this study Bible. It gives us some information about why this individual has a phylactery on his head based on the scripture here in Deuteronomy. And one of the reasons that I was able to get this at an inexpensive cost, and it's going to be very hard to see, I tried to find an example, is this was considered a blemished version. And it's very hard to see when you compare David's prayer for thanksgiving and David's victories. The David's prayer of thanksgiving is slightly blurred, which to me, it didn't make a difference to pay $70 versus $18. I'll take that all day. Another great feature of study Bibles is it helps us out with geography. So there's going to be lots of maps. So if you're wondering where the individuals are in the story, you can take a look at those here. And there's so many different maps within this Bible. Now I'd like to show you some of my favorite tips on finding these resources inexpensively. We're here at ChristianBookcom, and this is a great place to find inexpensive resources. That's where I was able to get the HCSB Study Bible for only $18. And of course, it's only one of many places you could go to. I also like to go to Amazon. I check eBay. And of course, I love to support my local bookstores. You can find a lot of great deals there on used books. And so I'd encourage you to look there. But what I always do when I go to ChristianBook.com, I go up to where it says bargain. And then I like to choose slightly imperfect. And again, that's what I showed you my Bible was. And I scroll down to Bibles, and it's going to pull up all the different Bibles, but we're talking about study Bibles today. So I'll click Study Bible. And as these load, if you have a specific translation that you're looking for, you can just click it right here, go right to the translation. But that's not the purpose of this video as far as for what translation you choose. I just like to show you here, for example, the NIV Cultural Background Study Bible. That comes in many different translations. But if you notice here, it's originally $80. It's slightly imperfect, so you can get it for a little bit under $20. So lots of options here. The CSB, this is the new version of the HCSB that I showed you. You can get it for $25. Here's one for $7.50 at the time of recording. This is a great one. A lot of my friends have under $20. So you want to just scroll through here, find out again, is there a specific translation you'd like to go with? But I always start here when I go to this website. Again, the Slightly Imperfect is a great way to save some money. And speaking of the cultural background, we're now looking at Amazon. And again, there's many different versions of this cultural background study Bible. So it's going to depend what translation you like to go with. But I do also have the digital version of this. And also keep an eye out for sales on digital versions. So if you're someone who likes digital, that may be a great way to save some money. And I'd like to actually show you what it looks like in action. So for example, we're here in 1 Corinthians 15, starting in verse 42. And let's say you're reading and you're wanting some of that cultural background information. You simply just click the verse here, verse 42, and it's going to take you here to the study notes. So as soon as you're done reading the study notes, you just simply click the back button, go back to your reading. So I love to keep an eye out for sales on digital versions of some of these resources. I was able to get this version for only $5 on Amazon. I think currently it's around $15 at the time of recording, but it's another great way to, especially if you like digital, to get resources very inexpensively. So in Amazon, I typed in Study Bible Kindle. So for those of you who like electronic versions, this is a great way to get these study Bibles inexpensively, and they'll fit on your phone or whatever device you're using. But most of them are around $15 to $20. The ESV Study Bible, which is an amazing study Bible, that one's $35 on Kindle. But most of them are going to be within that $15 to $20 range. So for the study tip, we want to avoid reading a single passage. We want to make sure that we do our best to read it in context. So for example, let's say we're reading 1 Corinthians 15, verse 51. Let's say that was the verse of the day. We're going to want to do our best to, at minimum, read the paragraph that verse sits in. The way you do that is down here in verse 51, let's say that's our passage. We're going to want to look for an indentation. And in verse 50, in this Bible, it's saying that that's where the paragraph is going to start. So we're going to want to start in verse 50, read until we see another indentation, read that multiple times, and that's going to be the paragraph that it sits in. Now, if we have more time, we'll want to read at least a couple paragraphs before and a couple paragraphs after so we can understand what the author is saying. But at bare minimum, you'll want to at least read the paragraph that the passage sits in. So what's the call to action? This channel is designed to study, to apply, and to pass it on so we can be transformed into the likeness of Jesus rather than just filling our heads with a bunch of knowledge. The call to action for us is to be in our Bibles. You don't have to have a study Bible, but we can be praying always that God will help us to understand what we're reading. But if you do want to take it a little bit deeper, hopefully these are some tips to help you get some resources to help you out. But also, we want to surround ourselves with other people who want to get the most out of their Bible study. So do not do this on your own. Find people who also want to learn more about God, who want to get into the Word, who want to discuss it, so we can hold each other accountable to what we're reading. We can apply it, and then we can pass it on to others and ultimately be transformed into the likeness of God's Son, Jesus. Thank you so much for checking out the video. See you next time. God bless you.